Good evening, and thank you for tuning in online tonight for our Wednesday night broadcast at Victory. We're so thankful for each and every one of you that tunes in for all our services, whether it be on Sundays or Wednesdays. We're just very, very thankful for that. One of the things that we strive to do here is to develop a deeper walk with the Lord as well as deeper connections with one another. And we do that through groups, small group settings that meet here on campus. And we would love for you to be a part of these groups if you aren't already. We have multiple times that they meet, Sundays and on Wednesdays. Tonight, right after we hear from some special music from our worship team, we're going to move into one of those groups and let you hear and experience the teaching. We hope and trust it's a blessing to you tonight. Thank you so much again for being here this evening.
I am surrounded on every side, can't see the light of day, but I am persuaded beyond all hope, you won't let go of me. I stake my claim on every word you say, you will not be late.
darkest of weather, though I can't see, I still believe you're good. So I'm moving forward through crashing waves. I know I'm safe with you. You hold my life, you hear my cry with every breath inside. I will sing through fire and thunder, 'cause you are on my side. I trust you with my life. I know my story isn't over, even against all odds. You are a faithful God. That's who you are. You are a faithful God. I am convinced that your promises will hold together, and I will dwell in the hope of your love forever. I am convinced that your promises will hold together, and I will dwell in your love. And I will sing through fire and thunder, 'cause you are on my side. I trust you with my life. I know my story isn't over, even against all odds. You are a faithful God. That's who you are. You are a faithful God. Oh, you're faithful God.
And good to see everybody here today. And again, enjoyed having everyone over at the house last week. We'll do that again coming up. We're in Joshua chapter number 6 today. Don't forget, if you're here this afternoon, this evening, the Shoemake family, missionaries to Burkina Faso that Dallas and Ashley Brown serve with, will be here joining us on tonight's group. So if you see them, make sure you greet them. Joshua chapter number 6. And we are talking about the formula for victory. All right, and I was giving you a 3-part formula for that. How to have victory in our life, how to have victory in our parenting, our marriages, our relationships, our ministry. There's a lot that we can learn, and there's a couple of guys who I feel like really emulate persevering and going through it and staying after it, and as a result they had victory in their life. That was Joshua and Caleb. We started off a couple weeks ago with the idea that Joshua and Caleb, remember, they were the only two of the 10 spies or the 12 spies that were sent out to go and to view the land that God had promised the Israelites. And the other 10 came back and they were very negative, very critical, very scared, fearful. We can't do this. It's too big. It's too much of a task. It's life-threatening. We'll die. And they convinced the majority of the Jews there that we can't do it. And as a result of that, they had to wander right in the wilderness for 40 years, every day a year, for which they went in and spied out the land. And we started off talking about how in order to get victory, number one, you have to have a vision. I give you a definition. I'll give you a recap of that. Vision has a way of ignoring its critics and chasing its dream, regardless of how many people say it can't be done. And hopefully you've had elements of that in your life where there are things where people said, there's no way you can do that. I don't see how it's going to work out. But Lord gave you a vision, or perhaps you in your business, you know, this is what I see, or my marriage, this is what I see. And you went after it. People were like, no, you can't do it. But you chased the dream anyway, and you saw it come to fruition. I'm thankful that we have seen that many times here at Victory. The scripture talks about without vision, people perish.
well, there's no hope. There's nothing to go after. And we fall off. You've got to be able to see. And as a result of that, you have to have times where you push through. And I gave you several instances of men in the past who says, everything has been invented, and so on and so forth, right? Verse number 2, Joshua 6, the Lord said to Joshua, see, I have given into thy hand Jericho, and the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor. So, to recap this vision, where did this vision come from? Come from God. The Lord said to him, I'm going to give it to you. So I made the statement, it was God-led, not man-fed. Wasn't one day Joshua woke up and said, you know what, I think we ought to do this. I think we ought to do this. I was telling you about the park there in Maine. I re-emphasized it on Sunday. $1 billion Freedom Park, or whatever it is, 176 foot flagpole, and so on and so forth. And I was so impressed with the vision that guy or that group of individuals had to do something along those lines. And I can't say that was God-led. Nonetheless, it was vision. And there are people who say they can't be done. You can't raise $1 billion to do that. This guy's ignoring his critics and chasing his dreams, regardless of how many people say it can't be done. We'll see how that comes to fruition, right? So God must give the vision. We're going to talk about victories in our lives as Christians. It's interesting that God didn't give the vision to all the children of Israel. Remember, I made that statement? He didn't pull them all together in one big revival meeting and said, now here's what I'm going to do. No, he gave it to the leadership. There's a lot you can drive from this, and we won't take time to reiterate all that, but there's a lot of breakdown between when God gives the vision to a man and then when the man gives it to the people. And a lot of times that's failure on the leadership's part. If God gives you a vision for your marriage and what you'd like to see it done, and see it improve, or we can always make things better, right? Except for our Bible and our salvation. And we can't improve on God's word. We can't improve our salvation, but my marriage can be better, my business can be better, my ministry can be better, as everybody. And if God gives us, or when he gives us, you've got to be able to paint that for the others. Paint it for your spouse. One of the things that I try to do, and I don't always do a good job at it, is when I feel like Lord has given me something in direction here, I want to try to hand that down. I want to try to paint that. And I try to do that to the leaders, and then continue on down the deal there. A lot of times we aren't good communicators with that, and as a result of that, people can say, "Wait a minute, I don't see this," and we don't have the vision. So it's the leaders. It's our jobs to paint it as clear as possible and as vivid as possible, with as many details as possible. But when you're going to build a house, and some of you have probably built houses over the years, and when the builder came and he said, "All right, here's the design, here's what you looked at, here's the blueprints, here's the paperwork." It's still just on paper, right? You still may have a picture of it or whatever, but sometimes it's hard to envision what it's going to look like at a finished product. I've taken old houses before and went in, and I could see what could be. My wife's like, "I ain't living in that." Or, "Honey, why would you buy that?" I'm like, "But because I could fix it up, I could sell this," or whatever the case may be, because I could see it, right? And I'm bad because I want to impress her, right? So I don't give her all the details. I'll just say, "I promise you'll be fine." She's like, "Whatever, If I would say, "I'm going to do this, and we'll take it right here, and I'm going to add this to it, and we're going to do this," then she might be able to see, "Oh, okay." I'm bad because I just want her to see this old thing, and then one day come out and here it is, boom, and her be like, "You're awesome," But along the way, I lose her sometimes. "Why are you out there so long? Why are you working on that? Why don't you just live out there?" We got these things. You ever had projects like that? I'm sure you guys have. And it's like you're spending all the time. The other day I was working on something, and it was about 11:30, and she calls me, from the house, and I was in the driveway. She goes, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I'm working on this thing." And she goes, "Honey, it's 11:30. I said, "I know, babe. I don't have a whole lot of hours in the day. I got to make them count, and it's a lot cooler right now." Yeah. She goes, "Well, how much longer are you going to be?" I'm like, "I don't know." I said, "Why? It's not like we're going anywhere." You know what I mean? It's not like we have an engagement, 11:30 at night. And then she smoked me. I said, wow, why? She goes, she. So 11:35, I was in the bedroom. Anyway, but it was vision. It was vision, right? I could see it. And when I see it, I'm driven towards that. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to do whatever I can to accomplish that. But I have to have that. I have to see it first. God gave it to Joshua. Gave it to Moses. And he says, here's what you're going to do. And whether or not they passed it along or not adequately is, to be determined. But it says the Lord said to Joshua. All right, so he gave it to their leader. There's some things about the vision that God gave Joshua. We already hit on this one. We'll recap them real quick. First of all, the people were chosen, right? This was the group of people that God wanted to go in and conquer Jericho. This was the ones that after they denied him 40 years prior, said, hey, this is the group, this is the timing, this is what I want to do it. So 41 years later, they were there at Kadesh Barnea knocking on the door, just ready to go in, and then balked at it, and he punished that disobedience, right? So all the 20-year-olds and up, except for Joshua and Caleb, died. So we're talking about a whole new generation. All right, a whole new group of people. So the people were chosen. The purpose was clear. Remember, you're going to go in, the walls are going to come down. He said, this is how it's going to go down. So, and then the plan was very concise. He said, you're going to walk around it 6 days. On the 7th day, you're going to march around 7 times. And you're going to line up like this. You're going to blow this. You're going to shout here. And it's going to come down. So there was a very clear, concise plan that God had for that. All right, so let's move on from that. So the first part of the formula for victory in our lives is you got to have vision. You got to know where you're going, right? You got to see it ahead. Second, there must be faith. So the vision is spirit-led, not man-fed. And then the second part of accomplishing victory is there's got to be an element of faith. So the majority of the children of Israel right now could not have been much more than 59 or 60 years old. All right? Anybody in here 59 or 60? Or y'all exceeded that? Okay.
Keep on going.
Keep on going. All right. So there's somewhere between you and me, right? All right. Because I just turned 50. So there's somewhere in between us. That's everybody. There wasn't a senior adults. There wasn't a senior, citizens. There were some children, obviously, but the oldest ones could only have been 59 or 60. Very young. Especially that's the standard. Very strong, very hardened group. Can you imagine? They were wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. Wasn't like they were camping out, somewhere in a nice resort. I mean, they got up. They didn't stay in one place very long. They were Bedouins, right? They were moving around, living off the land, trying to make a living. So these weren't soft. These weren't snowflakes, right? These were people who knew how to survive in a desert. More than likely, they were skilled warriors. Because they're going around, they're having enemies. They got people trying to take their flock, trying to take their wells. You with me on this? So they knew how to fight. They knew how to handle themselves. They knew how to take care of themselves. And Joshua and Caleb, by the way, were not men who were afraid of challenges. Remember, they were the ones that said, no, let's go do it when they were young, when they were kids. No, let's go do it. We can whip these guys. Let's go. So these were trained warriors. They're ready to take care of business. This whole group, this whole generation, right? Flip back to chapter 1. Look at verse number 15. You see this right here. These guys were ready. Joshua 1:15. Until the Lord hath given your brethren rest, as he hath not given you, and they also possess the land which the Lord your God hath given them. Then ye shall return unto the land your possession, and enjoy it, which Moses, the Lord's servant, gave you on the side of Jordan towards the sun rising. And they answered Joshua, saying, all that thou commandest us we will do. Verse 16. And they answered Joshua, all that thou commandest us we will do, and whithersoever thou sendest us we will go. According as we hearkened unto Moses in all things, so will we hearken unto thee. Only the Lord thy God be with thee, as it was with Moses. Whosoever he be that doth rebel against thy commandment, and will not hearken unto thy words, and all thou commandest him, he shall be put to death. Only be strong and of good courage. But God had other plans for Joshua's people. All right? God says, we're going to do a few marching maneuvers. Yeah, we're going to do a little shouting, a little cadence, practice going on. And then we're going to watch the walls come down. Now imagine taking those to a bunch of Marines there at Fort Bragg and say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take over this little village here. We're going to march around it. And we're going to shout. And then we're just going to watch the walls cave in on it. So this is super contrary to the way they were trained to fight. They had never been engaged in a battle like this. They had never been trained to have a battle like this. This is new. This is, wait a minute, are you kidding me? So, in other words, and then here's why I say this. This had to take faith for God's very seemingly simple plan. Now, I believe God used it here to do a few things. To increase their faith in Him. Because they had to go in and trust God, not their own abilities. They had confidence in their abilities, right? We can do it. We can make this happen. We've been wearing them out. We're young, we're strong, we're rigorous, we're going to do this. We're well trained, we've got this. But God didn't want them to do it in their own mind. So God taught them 3 things here. Number 1, when He gives the plan, He'll also give the power. When God says, this is how I want you to do it, He's going to provide what we need to do it with. Number 2, His ways are always better than our ways. You think there was less casualties involved when we did it God's way? Absolutely. Nobody died that way. Had they engaged and went up, tried to mount the walls of the fortified walls of Jericho, there would have been some folks that had died. And number 3, faith is always better than fretting or fighting. Hebrews 11:6 says, without faith it's impossible to please Him, right? For he that cometh to God must believe that He is, and He's a rewarder of them that diligently seek Him. So this faith that they had right here had to be exercised, and they had to trust God with this, and they could not trust and rely on their own abilities. You and I just mentioned it, we are apt to try to confide in our own abilities. We think we can do it. We've done it before. We built this. We've done that. I've led this. We can do it again. And we get confident in that, and we get secure in that, but sometimes we can get soft in that, right? Faith plus vision plus number 3, action. All right? They had to have action. Although God was going to perform the actual miracle to defeat Jericho, and the Israelites still had some things that they had to do. So it wasn't like they just sat back like in their tent and said, okay, let us know when it's ready. Let us know when it's time to relocate. It's not what they did, right? They still had to march. They still had to blow the trumpets. They still had to shout. So there was elements of this plan that they were still responsible for. It wasn't that they sat back. And a lot of times we say, well, I'm waiting on God to move. Right? What does that mean? We sit back and we twiddle our thumbs and we wait on God to do something? We wait on God to make it happen? No. We're still, boy, what's my definition there? We're still in action. We're not just idly sitting by. We're continuing on trusting God with the outcome. My question to you is, what action is it that God is wanting us to perform before He sends the victory in our lives? What is He waiting on you to do? Trust Him by faith. Some of us still have some marching to do. Some of us still have some trumpet blowing to do. Some of us still have some shouting to do before the victory comes. And we're wondering, okay, I see it, God. I believe you can do it, God. But we're still sitting by and not putting the plan that He gives us into action, right? So vision plus faith equals victory. So when we combine vision and we combine faith and we combine that with action, then we get the victory. Look at verse 20. So the people shouted when the priests blew with the trumpets. And it came to pass when the people heard the sound of the trumpet and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat So the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. When they did it God's way, when they believed the vision that God gave to Joshua, when they, by faith, put their swords down, and what, I don't know, I can't say they put their swords down. If they're walking around, they may have still garnered their swords, right? But they didn't use them. They weren't there. They didn't, when they realized, okay, we're not going to do it our way, we're going to do it God's way, we're going to do that by faith. And then when they actually did, now I have to wonder, there's probably some who were like, this is silly. Are you kidding me? Y'all going to get killed. I wonder if there was a little regiment that was set aside and said, now you guys stay here in case we need you. In case they start doing something and we got to have some reinforcements. I don't know. I don't want to read into that. I don't want to say Joshua did that or Joshua didn't do that, or maybe one of his captains or generals did that. We don't know that. But I do know there were some who were thinking, yeah, I don't know about this. That's the human nature. I don't care how clear the vision is. I don't care how great the faith is of the leader. I don't care, what they're doing. Some are like, I just don't know about this right here. Shout, holler, scream. Who'd ever do that? That's nuts. But I bet they were pretty excited when the walls started crumbling down, right? And how many of you think their faith was increased by that, right? Everybody's. And this was the first engagement crossing that river into the promised land. This is the first deal, right? This was big. This was huge. This set the stage for two things, though. Number one, set the stage. If we do it God's way, then we're gonna do well. But do anybody remember the next city?
Ai.
Ooh. Jericho. Ai. Right? Ai is just a little bitty town. Not far from Jericho. Well, leadership said, look what we did at Jericho. Look what we did at Jericho, right? Look what we did at Jericho. Ai, we don't even need enough. We don't need all our men. Just send up a few up there. Y'all remember what happened? They went up there and they got their tails handed to them, right? They got whipped.
35 men.
Huh?
35 men.
Yeah, which seems like a small number based on the numbers that were sent up there. They come back with the tails between their legs. I mean, we didn't do that right. And God said, all right, here's what you need to do. So again, follow this plan. So even though we gain victory, there's a danger. In spite of victories, sometimes we revert back to our own abilities. Look what we did. We can do it again. Again, I don't know where you're at. I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know what elements of your life need more faith, more vision. When was the last time that you really set out to do something? I would encourage you guys, and I know, the olden years should be the golden years, is what I've been told. I'm enjoying the fact that we don't have to buy diapers or formula anymore. Right before I can buy formula, right?
Soon you will.
Yes, soon. Yes, maybe they'll restock by then, right? I'm glad I'm not having to chase 8-9-year-olds around right now and doing certain things. And like you said, because there's a difference when you're doing it as most of the time when you're doing it as a grandparent than a parent, I would think at times. But you understand what I'm saying. I'm enjoying the time that I get to spend with my wife that's not being stressed or she's having to go in, or what the kids do, they're quiet now, what's going on? They're up to something. We enjoy going out to eat and not having to take, the whole village, with us, right? And I'm feeling the brunt of what you're feeling with this going out to eat. I mean, my word, it's unreal. It's just costing for everything's going up. So I'm enjoying that. But I want to encourage you guys, set out some some things in your marriage or in your life. Some projects. Maybe building projects, maybe relationship projects. Once a year, say that. Say, hey, what are we going to do this fall? What's our goal this fall? Or this spring? Whatever works best for you. Or do a year. Do a spring and a fall. So you know what? Let's redo that room. Let's do it together. What do you think? And pick one thing. You know what? Let's go on a marriage conference. Let's go to a marriage retreat. Let's go on vacation. Let's go on a getaway with the sole intent of strengthening our relationship. Let's don't go with anybody else. Let's just focus on each other. Let's make that a priority. You know what I mean? And write that. And then every year, if you're doing that, I mean, good night. Y'all realize we've been in this building for what 4 or 5 years now? 4 years?
4 years.
It's hard to believe. And 4 years are going to come and go. But if you'll do that for the next 4 years, maybe sometimes a year, I mean, you've got 8, or so things that you have worked towards, you had a vision for, you by faith went for it, you took some action steps to make it happen, and let's see some victories in your lives. And you just trust God, ask God. It's got to be Spirit-led. Lord, what is it? Now, I'm not talking about necessarily the projects of redoing the room or, closing the garage or whatever. I mean, those things you pray about, talk about. I'm talking about things to enhance your relationships, enhance your friendships. Maybe you do one for y'all, maybe you do one for the kids. So, hey, this spring, why don't we focus on us to do this? Hey, in the fall, let's do something for the kid. And you ain't got to be spending money. You ain't got to spend thousands of dollars to enhance relationship for your kids. Like, you know what? Why don't we send all of our kids on a marriage conference? And we'll keep the kids, or we'll provide a way for them, or we'll pay their way, or whatever the case may be. Just something on those lines that you're investing in you or in others. But it's got to take faith, okay? Have a little vision with that. But if we will do something along those lines with intentionality and with purpose, we'll see results of that. We can amble along for the rest of our years and be good parents, be good grandparents. But what are we accomplishing for the things of the Lord? He still has purpose for you. He has vision for you as grandparents. Let's tap into that. So, Lord, what is it? All right. Any thoughts? We're done early today. Any questions?
Another question.
You guys are easy.
When you have a vision, how do you know it's from the Lord or it's something you want personally?
Yeah, so that's all. It's an age-old.
I've heard you talk about the vision for this place.
Yeah.
How did you know that it wasn't just something that Derek wanted to be new with?
All right, in that particular instance, before we built the building that we came out of, why don't we go ahead and we can.
Let me turn this off.
Nah, we can leave it on. It don't matter. Those are watching.
There's water up there for you.
The question was, how do you know when it's your vision versus God's vision on that? And you asked specifically about this particular building here. How do I know that? In 2008, we moved into our old auditorium, our new auditorium over there in 2009. So we were building in 2008 when the economy crashed. Just prior to that, we were outgrowing everything. We were meeting. Teens were meeting in buses and janitorial halls for Sunday school, and we'd already went to multiple services, multiple Sunday school times, and we had to trade out the different Sunday school teachers, the Sunday school classes, the adults. 1 week a month they would meet in the auditorium for their Sunday school class, and then the other 3 they were in more cramped rooms. So we kind of shared the wealth. Once a month, that group got spread out a little bit other than that. And so we knew we had to do something. We only had 9 acres there. The school was growing at the time. And we were starting into, having school, I think what 2005 was I came pastor in 2004, and we started, I think it was that fall, 94 or 95, that we started going to first grade, and we started adding a grade every year. So by the time 2008, 2009 came around, we already knew, we were having third and fourth, so we knew we had to have more room. We have ball teams and things like that. And so I just began to pray about, okay, Lord, what do you want us to do here? We're kind of landlocked. We don't have a whole lot of land to grow. Do we want to invest in another facility here, or relocate now? Relocate and then spend the money there to build something, or just do it here. And so I went around, I inquired from everybody, all of our neighbors. We had 3 neighbors. We had one that had 5 acres towards 81. We had the 20 acres over there where Jamie's grand folks lived, right there. And then we had 9 acres across the street in the corner there. So I went and talked to all of them. None of them were ready to sell at the time. They all gave us first right of refusal. If they were to buy and sell, then they would give us a first shot at it. And so we said, okay. We were in talks a couple times with the 9 acres across the street, the pasture there. It just, it never worked out. We get to the point where we're starting, really talk about things, and they backed off and didn't want to sell it and what have you. They still haven't sold it, it's still there. So I began to look around other places. I began to look at other pieces of property. I remember specifically over here on Meridian Park, that road where the ball fields are on, all that acreage, and it hadn't sold yet, I don't guess, or they hadn't done anything with it. All that across the street from the parks over there, there was quite a few acres over there that we were looking at. I was walking out, praying, Lord, is this the one? Just seeking the Lord on different pieces. One day, my devotions very clearly, as I was praying and reading and seeking, the Lord gave me a verse that said that it was like He wrote it for me that morning, got up that morning and wrote it out. Said, all right, Derek, here's what I need you to see today. And it was very clearly that, no, you just stay right there on Brand Road. Go ahead and build a building, and I'll take care of, down the road. So I went and talked to the men of the church and said, look, this is what the Lord has for us. We need to go and build right here. He hasn't given me any peace, any desire or vision, I guess you'd say, to build anywhere else. And so we did. So we built that. I knew that if we did, and he still wanted, I knew that wasn't going to be enough for us. You know what I'm saying? I knew, especially when we built the building, it just took away all of our green space. But I knew either he was going to open up one of the other areas, or he was going to relocate us. I thought he would open it up. I thought we'd be towards 20 there and grab that lake and all that. And I was already in my mind envisioning, how we would do that. And we had a new road down through there, and we'll call it Victory Lane. And there was a lot that I was in my mind, that I had going on. And then, so we did. We built that. Well, it wasn't long after that. I'm thinking, man, it's not, what do we need to do? We're running out of space. We had to rent fields to do anything. And so I heard that where City Hall is now, the old, there used to be an elementary school there with a round track out there. That was coming up for sale. And so I was like, you know what? That's close enough. We could maybe buy that and just move the school over there. Keep the church here on this property. It's close enough, and we'll have just a school over there. And that was kind of the direction I was thinking about, praying about. And so I met with someone, and they're like, hey, no, it's not on the market yet. It's coming, it's just not available yet. So, okay, so I will keep posting. And then he said, the agent, Hal Breedlove was his name, he said, he's like, I got another piece that you might be interested in. I was like, okay. He goes, do you know where the old Loganville High School middle school is? I'm like, oh, behind Kroger or across from Max Price? He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's Jericho size. That's a bunch of walls over there, concrete walls. That's a big, that's 27 acres over there, 32 acres, whatever we got, 32 acres. That might be out of the price range. He goes, you might be surprised. You should take a look at it. And so I said, all right, I'll do that. So I met him over here one day, and I walked through. He started taking me down these hallways, and I was seeing in these classrooms the menus for the cafeteria, lunch schedules, calendars still hanging on the walls. When they moved out of here, they left desks, they left chairs, they left everything, books. There were still lunches in the locker. I mean, they just left stuff. It was rough. And I used to come over here when I was a youth pastor. I would come over here every Wednesday morning. We do Bible studies. I've done Bible studies in the lower gym, literally hundreds in there. We'd have 200 in the lower gym down there, Bible studies. It was unbelievable. We bought a utility trailer just like that one down there, me and Chad did, to bring over all of our junk and paraphernalia for Wednesday morning Bible studies. And we'd get several dozen donuts. We'd fit every Wednesday morning. But we also did it in several other rooms. We've done it in the upper gym. So it just kind of depended where they had us for the year. I knew this location. I come over here and promote the war. I remember in our auditorium right now, used to be the cafeteria, we'd come up to the old projector style and run videos of the war. Right during lunch, they didn't care. We could recruit, we could sign people up. It was unbelievable. Mr. Bradbury was the principal at the time. So I knew this property pretty well. But I walked through these halls and he was showing me, and it was hot and it was stinky and dirty. That first time through there, I was like, I didn't even get the way through it, and I started crying. I said, Lord, I don't know how you're going to do this. I said, but if this is what you have for us, you're going to have to do it. I said, because this is big.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that I said, let's go over here and buy that place. That wasn't a figment of my imagination. When I met the guy over here and showed him, or he showed me, that's when the Lord began to touch my heart. This is the direction I want you to move. So I was like, what's it going to take? He said, well, you got to have, $10,000 down, and then you go through the process, and you put your bid in, yada, yada, yada. So, all right. So I met with a group of men. I had a van pulled around front on a Wednesday night after church on an old property over there, and I took some staff and took some men in leadership, deacons, and things like that. I said, I want to take you somewhere after church Wednesday night. They didn't know where we were going. I said, right after church, we'll load up in the van and we'll go. So I remember driving them over here, and I parked them right up top behind Kroger first. And we looked down. I said, guys, this Lord put something in my heart, and I don't, maybe, let's pray about it, let's talk about it. We came down, and the real estate guy met me. I had to meet me late that night, and we walked to the campus. I remember meeting down in the lower gym, and we're all circled there talking up, and the guys were asking questions. I could already see the wheels turning and some going, I saw it. Some were going. And I said, guys, here's where we're at. I said, I don't know, I said, let's pray about this. Let's see where the Lord takes us. I said, if we're going to do it, I said two things. Number one, if we're going to go that, then we're going to do one of two things. Either God is going to just hand the money down, give us the money, give us a grant, do whatever, or He is going to provide us some type of a bridge loan, but so we can sell our property and get this one. Either way, that's going to have to be God doing that. And so we agreed then to at least go through the process. The process was this: there was other people interested in the property. And we said, they said, you got to put in a bid, a silent bid, one time. Give us your best bid on it. If the bid is accepted, then that's when you put the $10,000 down, do your due diligence, and yada, yada, yada. Go from there. So we went through that process, we put our bid in. And I remember it was in October, if I remember correctly. Or November, when I've got it in my notes. We put our bid in, and I remember that Thursday or Friday, I got the call from the real estate agent. He said, Pastor, I hate to inform you. I said, they said you got outbid, and on that. And by that time, I was already believing this is what the Lord had for us. By that time, it was already formulated. Okay, the vision was there. And I said, really? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, well, how much did we lose it by? $100,000. I'm like, 100,000? Can you not give us a shot? I mean, we'll go up, Well, we had met, we determined, this was the number we decided we could go on, whatever it was. And so anyway, it felt it. You know, we didn't get it. We didn't. Somebody else had got the first right to go through and do their due diligence and all that kind of stuff. And I remember being defeated on that Thursday as my day off. Friday, I don't think I came in because I was like, man. Because when God puts something on your heart, at that point it's hard to erase it. You're right. And that was a difference. So I was Saturday. I didn't want to prepare. I didn't want to preach. My wife had gotten sick on Saturday. She had some type of upper respiratory. She wasn't feeling good at all, and I knew she wasn't going to church on Sunday, and that was rare for her, but she was that sick. And I remember Saturday going, man, I hope I get sick. I hope I get sick. I literally hoping I would get sick so I didn't have to go Sunday. Because I didn't want to go. I didn't want to pray. I didn't want to prep. I didn't want to prepare. I didn't want to preach. And then Saturday in the wee hours of the morning, God just wore me out, whipped me. And I broke down and said, Lord, I don't know what I'm thinking. Why am I feeling this way? If this is your plan, you're going to work it out anyway. I just want to trust you with it. And he gave me a message, and I still remember it was the folly of frustration. Now, see, at this point, the church didn't know. Only the leadership knew. Because I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to have the negative or the positive. Let's do it, or no way. So we had to build that, right? And we had to do our due diligence for 30 days before I could ever present it. So nobody knew but the men, the leadership, that we had went this route. We didn't sign anything. We didn't give any money. We didn't have to do anything at that point. But at the point we gave money, then I had to bring it for the church. But I wanted to get everything a ducks in a row before we ever did that. And I remember that morning I came in and I told you in the message, I didn't want to preach this morning. I didn't want to and I preached on the folly of frustration. I didn't tell them why. I said, look, there's some things I just knew the Lord had, and it didn't work out. I was frustrated, and talking about the folly of why it's silly for us to be mad at God and frustrated at God. And I preached that message. Crazy thing about it was Sunday afternoon I got sick as a dog. I didn't make it back Sunday night because I got what Michelle had, but the Lord had me still preach Sunday morning. I didn't get sick till Sunday afternoon. Anyway, that went on. That was in October. Pretty sure October, then early November. Let's see here, October. And they started, somebody else got it, I knew it was a local guy, and they went through all the process. They had 2 or 3 months, and we're still checking. Every now and then I'll call, and hey, let's look at, they're still on it, still doing their due diligence, blah, 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 blah. He called me and he said, hey, by the way, that middle school, the elementary school came up. Are you interested in that? I said, no. I said, I believe God has that other one for us. He kind of laughed. Said, okay, preacher, I'll call you if something happens. I said, all right. I think I maybe either called him, sent an email or text. I've got it written down my nose. One day I thought I might write a book, but I don't think I'd ever do that. I don't know if nobody would read it, but y'all 8, y'all 12. And so anyway, that went on. It was in May, the following spring. It was right for Mother's Day. We were looking at the property where we live now. Matter of fact, we went out there and saw it, had someone meet me out there. It wasn't even on the market, and I found it, long story short. And the very first day it was on the market, I was out there 8 o'clock that Saturday morning with a real estate agent. And by noon we had a contract on it. Anyway, so right after that, the week after that, which was right there at Mother's Day, I got a phone call. I was over there just kind of looking at it. We didn't have a contract. We had a contract, but it wasn't complete yet. I was just driving and coming back out of the driveway. And I got a phone call, and it was the real estate agent. And I'm like, I know what this is about. Hey man, what's up? Blah, blah, blah. He goes, well, that contract fell through middle school. You still interested? I said, you know I am. I've been waiting on this phone call. So all right, well, let's see. Anyway, it went from there. Now, between there and the time we moved here will be another week, all right? Because those details, if you don't know it, are pretty intense. Because we thought we had a millionaire granting us money, and we almost got scammed. It's a whole other story that is of interest. Anyhow, but that was the Lord. So I knew that's how I knew that was going to take place, because the Lord worked that out and just gave me my heart. But I can't tell you there weren't times, which would involve part 2 of why people, no matter how hard the critics were against it, I had people who would tell me, I don't, literally, do you know what no means? Because we ran into a lot of no's going into it. And so the way God brought it all about is, it's another chapter in that book, all right? Probably 2 chapters. Anyway, to answer your question, that's how, because that was something, that particular instance was something that was so large and so out that I just knew how to do the Lord and the way He kept providing for it. I've had instances of, is this mine or is this, what God wants to do? But in fact, when I had the opportunity to preach here, or to pastor here, I was hesitant on taking it because I didn't know if it was my desire or what God had for me. Because I was like, my home church, how could that be? Do I want that more, than what God had for me, whatever. And that's another chapter, another book too. How all that worked out. So, all right. Hey, thanks for your patience. We just buried 20 minutes of rubble. Thanks for tuning in. You can turn that off now.
We hope that was an encouragement to you tonight. You may want to know more information. Maybe you have some questions. Maybe you'd like to pray with somebody and talk to somebody about some spiritual matters in your life. We have a pastoral care line, and we would love for you to be able to call. We have pastors standing by right now to be able to take those calls and assist you. We also have Wednesday night program for our teens as well as our young people. We have an Awana program here, and perhaps you or someone you know might like to be a part of that. You can find this and a whole lot more information on our website, VictoryBaptist.Church. God bless you and have a great evening.